In explanation, this system doesn't magically create a stand in front of you. Instead, thanks to a new effect introduced by JJS called Afterimage 2, it simply creates a copy of the character. Then, thanks to the new teleport block, it teleports you back to your original location once the ability ends. Here we add the Afterimage 2 effect to simulate us. It's important to note that this effect must last exactly after the ability ends, and you want the stand to stop appearing. I forgot to mention that the projectile must also last as long as you want the entire ability to last, plus an additional 5 milliseconds of your choosing. This extra time must be slightly longer than the ability's duration. I set the visibility effect so that our skin doesn't appear while we're using the ability. It's worth noting that the 0.1 second time I mentioned between that system and this one is because that system has information about the player's last position and prepares the player to use the ability. After those 0.1 seconds, the stand spawns in front of you to follow your command. I'm using this effect to simulate the stand, but you can use any mesh you like. I'm doing it this way to keep this tutorial from getting too long. This is where we'll prepare the ability you want your stand to perform. In my case, I won't create a very elaborate ability because, as I mentioned earlier, I want to make this a quick tutorial. However, you can do this for as long as you want. Of course, if you're going to create an ability that lasts 10 seconds, remember that you have to increase the duration of all the effects, including the projectile's duration. Here we'll set how long we want the ability to last, like just 1 second in the time block. Here we set the visibility to 0 so that your character is displayed and teleports back to its original location. In my case, I include the cancel skill because it uses a built-in skill, but if you don't have such a skill from the game itself and instead created one yourself, you don't need to include this. And well, here we put the teleport block so that it creates the illusion for the user who sees it that a stand appeared out of nowhere, but it's really you. Only you teleported 5 steps in front of you. And that's it. And this final teleport block is the teleportation, which will take you back to your original position. But clearly, before that, let's remove all the values from the teleport block. For explanation, this projectile section of the teleport block means that it teleports you to the last person your projectile hit. And since you were the last person, that's why it brings you back to your original position, because the projectile has 0 speed and never moves, so it stays there. And well, that's all for my tutorial. Thanks for watching. But one thing I want to say at the end is that if this video gets 20 likes, I'll make a tutorial on any system suggested by the comment with the most likes. One thing to clarify, I didn't show you how to do the system where the stand is behind you, but I didn't because the video would have been too long. Anyway, that's all. See you later.